from a viewer about what are the most comfortable carry positions and holsters. But before I get into that, here's a quick reminder. We have a gun giveaway going on. It's happening right now. You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. So click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. Right, let's talk a little bit about holsters. The variety of holsters is incredible, but we'll talk about carry positions. And we're going to do strong side hip, appendix carry, and then the difference between a paddle holster and a belt holster. And of course, you see me wearing the shoulder holster rig. So when I carry my concealed carry firearm, I typically carry it on my strong side hip. And the reason I do that is because when I'm on duty as a police officer, my gun is there on my strong side hip, so that matches up with the training I'm doing there and the muscle memory that I've built for where I want to reach for my gun. Also, by putting that gun a little bit behind 3 o'clock over here, it's very well hidden and I can put it on underneath a shirt. Just a light garment will be a great cover garment and keep that gun hidden from view. And that's part of the key. That's why we call it concealed carry. Okay? The draw is easy and straightforward. I grab the pistol, I pull it straight up, I rotate to the target, I can punch out, and I'm right on target without muzzling anybody. I know where my muzzle is going, and I know that the bad guy's there in front of me, so I can pull up, come straight out, and point the gun immediately at the bad guy. It is comfortable, but there are some drawbacks, specifically when you're driving. When you're on your strong side hip, whether you have a belt holster or a paddle holster that's there on your strong side hip when you're driving, that gun is pushing a little bit into your back or your kidneys or something like that. And if you need to access that firearm from your vehicle, from a seated position, and get that gun out and into action, you got to lean forward, you got to draw the gun out. Now, there's some argument as to whether or not that's bad or good, because first thing you want to do if you're in your vehicle and a gunfight starts is get out of that vehicle, unless you're going to use it to drive away. Now think about this. You can't drive and shoot at the same time. You can't do either effectively. You got to focus on what's happening. So if you can drive away, drive away. If you need to get to your gun and you want to engage in the gunfight because that's going to be the safest thing for you at that moment, then I want you to get out of that coffin of a vehicle and move to cover, because trapped in that front seat is a very difficult place for you to fight. Limited mobility, rounds are coming in, they're coming right at you, glass is blasting all over the place. There's lots of problems from fighting from a vehicle. But just driving around, and if you're not in a gunfight, having that strong side hip can be a little bit uncomfortable. Now, where should we go? Appendix or shoulder holster carry? We were just talking about being in a car, so let's talk about the shoulder holster carry. One of the most comfortable ways to carry a gun when you're doing a lot of driving around in a car is in a shoulder rig just like this. And you want to make sure that that shoulder rig, the gun is high up underneath your armpit. That's the best place to put it and the easiest place to access that firearm. But understand, if you're wearing a rig like this, then you need some other type of cover garment. Detectives often wear stuff like this because they're going to be wearing a sport coat or something like that over the top, or a jacket or something else. A shoulder holster rig requires you to add an extra layer of cover garment when you're on there. And it causes some real issues when you're reaching for your gun and you want to put that gun into action. There's lots of things that could potentially go wrong about muzzle direction and whether or not you have good trigger finger discipline. So when you're reaching for this gun, one, get your arm out of the way so that you're not going to muzzle yourself as you come across. Get your offhand up and out of the way. And then as you draw to your target, remember that everything off to your left is going to get muzzled as you come around. Making sure that everybody knows a firearm is safe. We always use safe guns here on the USCCA sets. As you're coming up and out on target, you need to get out and point at your bad guy target immediately. But all of this is going to be muzzled. Everything here, 90 degrees to your left, is going to be muzzled. It's also a little bit more difficult to reholster, as you can see, but I've said it time and time again. After the shooting stops, reholster reluctantly. Now, this rig right here is hanging on my shoulders. I would really like to get the additional piece on the side to clip the magazine pouches right to my belt. It sort of keeps things in place. But when you're carrying in a shoulder holster rig, you want guns on one side, magazine pouches on the other side to keep things in balance. And remember, you're going to have to use an extra layer, an extra cover garment, So this goes over your shirt and then jacket goes over the gun to help keep things concealed. Now we'll talk about the one that will probably raise the most ire, and that is Appendix Carry. Okay, I'm using a sticky holster here with the Glock 43X to demonstrate Appendix Carry. What we're looking for is getting that gun right down the front of your pants where it's comfortable and then covered with your shirt. There is a group of people right now who are looking at me like, oh my God, you got your gun pointed in the wrong place. Well, there's some arguments about that. Yes, we carry with a round in the chamber. Yes, the gun is pointed down the front of our pants. Yes, there could be a problem if you don't have good trigger finger discipline. Notice here that the sticky holster completely covers the trigger and trigger guard to make sure nothing can get in there and actuate the trigger. Now, carrying Appendix gives you several benefits. I might have a little bit too much around the middle to do it really comfortably, but one of those benefits is being able to rapidly access your gun and defend that gun from the front. And also, as you pull that gun on target, there we go, safe gun. As you bring that gun up on target out of the holster, you can go right to your target and then come up. So Appendix is getting more and more popular. People really like it as long as they can do it comfortably. Now with the sticky holster, I'm going to tell you once again, reholster reluctantly, take the holster out, insert the gun into the holster, and insert the holster and the gun as one unit in its comfortable position, covered up with the shirt. Going back to the strong side hip carry, couple of different ways for strong side hip. Inside the waistband, outside the waistband, belt loops, and paddles, okay? So an inside the waistband holster is going to run with the belt over the outside and the holster down inside your belt on the backside here on your hip. This is what's called a pancake holster. This is actually the Combat Master from Galco. And carrying this holster, it's a pancake, it's on the outside, holds it very nice and tightly to your hip to make sure that it's not going to print or display or anything like that, and it's just in a good position. I just really happen to like that strong side carry, nice, tight, and close to my hip. The paddle holster comes off your belt more quickly and easily. That is one of the knocks against the paddle holster, is that in a scrap for your gun, if you're trying to fight for that gun, the paddle holster might get yanked right out. You got to make sure that your retention is set properly and that the paddle is aggressively, and I'm going to say that again, is aggressively attached through your belt to make sure that it stays in place. So if you grab the gun, you don't automatically get the holster coming out with it when you make the draw. It's very important that you don't have that. Clearly, you want that gun to come out so that you can get it on target. A paddle holster, typically outside the waistband, and typically adds a little bit of space, so the gun is pushed a little bit further away from your body, a little bit more difficult to conceal. But if you want to make sure that you can take your gun off easily and quickly at the end of the day, paddle holster works fine. Or if you're taking your gun off a lot during the day, putting it in a safe or locking it up or moving it or whatever, the paddle holster makes it a little bit more convenient. These are the basic areas for the best, most comfortable, and most concealable options for concealed carry. It's all very personal. What is most comfortable for you? What will you wear for appropriate cover garments to keep your gun concealed? How can you access that gun easily? Is it comfortable when you carry it during the day? I said that once before. We want to make sure that it's comfortable, because if it's not comfortable, you're not going to carry the gun. And if you don't have the gun when you need it, you're in really, really serious trouble. And then, will you train enough with your carry system to make sure that you are doing everything properly to safely employ that firearm when you need it? Those are the key elements to making sure that you're doing concealed carry effectively and comfortably, because again, it's all up to you. Want to know the 3 biggest mistakes when carrying a handgun? Then click on the video next to me to reveal all 3 mistakes. Mistake number 2 may shock you. Everybody has their own cardinal rules for what they're going to do when they're carrying a gun, but right now I'm going to give you 3 things that you must never do